Just taking a moment of silence for our beloved creator, Akira Toriyama. As an individual who was affected by this unfortunate turn of events, I can say that I too am grieving for the loss of our beloved creator. Akira Toriyama was very influential on a lot of parts of the world. Millions of people knew this man, and millions of people loved this man. Thousands of people have met him. I never got to meet him, unfortunately, and it's always been something that I've wanted to do. And unfortunately, I can now scratch that off my bucket list. It's it's really sad to say because I just feel like it wasn't supposed to end like this. It wasn't supposed to be this way. His death was pronounced yesterday, March 7th. I have no idea how I have no idea how it happened, and unfortunately, I probably will not find out. I don't know. I, I believe that we're still awaiting details. I don't know. I didn't hear any extra details. But uh, I feel like now would be a good time for people who love this work, us, the people as a community. I think it's important that we come together and realize the real points and the real message within his work. It's important to understand the point that he was trying to get across. That it's better to love something and come together and be harmonious with people who have the same thing in common that you do. Love something and bond together with something rather than nothing and just never speak, or just rather than hating each other and screaming at each other and anything else negative that you can think of. It's just his message was vibrant and it reached all across the world. It was very influential. I don't know about anybody else, but like I didn't find out that Akira Toriyama was a writer until I turned like 14 or so, like just before high school. Everything has a writer, everything has a creator. I mean, I just feel like the entire community was shaken by this loss, and it just was not something that we expected. I don't know how many individuals are grieving, but I'm certain how many are celebrating. How many are happy that this man is gone, but rest assured that I'm not a part of that group of individuals. I'm not a part of that number. No one I know is a part of that number. Nobody needs to spread hate about this man. No one has any reason to. And basically, what I can remember of my first time ever being introduced to something that Akira Toriyama created was when I was just. I had to have been at least 8 or 9 years old when I played my very first Dragon Ball game. And I don't know if anyone else can attest to this, but I mean, just me. It's kind of how late I was to the entire thing, but my first game, my first Dragon Ball Z game that I ever played was Budokai 2. And I remember receiving a what looked to be like a box. It wasn't that thick or anything. It just it was the standard PS2 game case, and when I opened it up, it contained a CD. Um, but I was just like at least 7 or 8, no, 8 or 9, and my dad gave this to me as like a gift, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do with it, and that's when he introduced me to, or maybe I already knew. I can't exactly remember that far into my childhood, but I was always, you know what? No, I take that back. I remember blatantly because that's how my father taught me and my sister and my younger brother how to read. Um, he used to play this game called Shining Tears, and I'm sure if my brother was here, he'd blatantly remember, but I always knew that my father possessed a PlayStation 2, but I didn't think I would ever be able to have the chance to play it since I was still just a little kid. And it's funny because the uh, the Dragon Ball Z game, the Budokai 2 game that my dad had got me was specifically for teens, and I was nowhere near the age of a teenager. Um, but I learned pretty much almost everything about Dragon Ball Z in general from Budokai 2. I started out there and then I worked my way up because it was interesting and it was very influential on my entire childhood. I knew that this was something that I wanted to have for the rest of my life. And I thought it was actually very, very cool. And I thought people would think I was cool for playing it. And I spread the word at school, and all the kids were like, "Really? You really have one? Dude, awesome. Did you play this one?" I said, "No, I didn't know that existed." And so on and so forth. But um, I really love the idea that an anime could have a video game. And I didn't, back then, I didn't even know it was considered an anime because, like, um, I remember Rhyme Style saying that uh, back then you couldn't tell people that you watched anime because it was from overseas, and if you watched it you got made fun of it. So, like, most times I would hear people make fun of me for watching anime, and no, I'm sorry, not watching anime, playing the games. um, but a part of me didn't really care because I knew that it was cool, and I was just like, just wait, you'll find out somehow. And here we are today. I have been thinking an awful lot about the fact that this big of an influence shook the entire world. It's almost as if the entire world stopped. If one of our biggest influences can be stripped from us this easy, isn't it safe to assume that obviously there's someone behind this? There's someone behind the erasure of large influences. And if there is something larger than that, what do you think that is? I'm just saying, like, if there is something larger, and I know exactly what it is, but, like, to get my point across, un- there is something bigger than this. And even though he is gone, it's not the end. It can't be the end. It just cannot be, because we have so much more to look forward to still. And I know that it's whatever is in store for us in the future is going to have a bigger impact on our emotions. And I can say that for the entire community, because whatever we're supposed to receive from our beloved Akira Toriyama, it's gonna hit harder now that he's gone. I know that for a fact, that it's just going to hit harder now that he is no longer with us. I remember something else too. I remember receiving my very first Game Boy and receiving my very first few games to ever play on the Game Boy that I received. I think that Akira Toriyama. No, I could be wrong. Maybe he had something to do with that, but I partook in the Final Fantasy series. The first one that I ever had was Final Fantasy IV, and then in behind that one, I received Legacy of Goku 2 for the Game Boy Advanced. And that one had a big impact on my emotions as a kid because by then I knew the story of Gohan. I knew the story of how tragically Goku's life had been taken by the heart virus. And now those stories hit harder. Knowing that he's just not here anymore, that I'll never meet him. I want to spread a message of positivity to the entire Dragon Ball Z community. We've got to keep our spirits up for him. We've got to keep our spirits up for ourselves. And we have to remember that it's not over until it's over. Keep partaking in the spirit bomb scenes because they really help us all. Keep partaking in the legacy of Akira. Remember everything that he's produced and never stop thinking. Appreciate and love your loved ones while they're here. Thank them for everything that they've done and everything that they will do. And remember God. And may God bless America. Whoever sees this message, thank you. And I'll see you later. Peace out.